Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I am James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin and DK in the background. We are excited to talk about the Baltimore Ravens, of course, moving into Week 5. It is the first game in a relative tour around the AFC North, if I'm not mistaken. A few of them close together, and it is against the Bengals. But in this episode, we're going to talk about some news, give you guys some updates on the roster, talk about the some of the press conferences and other things, give you kind of a deep dive into this last game as we see fit. We're also going to talk about what it's going to look like moving forward, give some of our thoughts and concerns, what we're optimistic about, and rumors around the league. But without any further ado, we have these lights on because we have an awesome partner, and that is BetOnline. Glenn, what's BetOnline got going on today?
Well, BetOnline is, first of all, the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline also has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on while the games are being played. If you think you know your stuff, get in on the $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200K. When the games are over, head on over to the online casino and get in a hand of blackjack, some poker, unwind with over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. BetOnline, the game starts here.
Let's go. Speaking of the game, Glenn, there's a bit of gaming going on around the NFL, and that is, of course, by the Raiders. It seems to be that they are trying to properly get as much value as they can out of Davante Adams. What's going on there? What's your take? And just talking about your feelings. I know there's been some people that has been connecting them to Ravens. This happens every guy that is going to hit the market, but talk to me about it. What are your feelings, my man?
Yeah, so I mean, as far as the player goes, he's every great receiver's favorite receiver. So he is probably the most well-respected receiver. I think that's fair to say, right? The most well-respected receiver in the whole league is probably Davante Adams. The guy's an absolute stud and would be awesome to have on the team. I have some questions on if we really fit his play style, but he's so good. He can play in any damn play style. That's just how good he is. Now, the part that becomes an issue here is the cap number, because first and foremost, you're going to have to give up draft capital to acquire the guy. But on top of that, after you acquire him and give up those draft picks, which Baltimore is traditionally pretty stingy when it comes to hanging on to their draft capital, this becomes the next issue. And shout out to Kyle Phoenix, or Kyle Barber, I should say, for consolidating this and making it easy for us to absorb.
Yeah.
The remaining cap space right now for Baltimore is $4.3 million. Davante Adams' cap hit is currently $25 million. So how simply the question would be, I find it hard to believe that the Raiders would be willing to eat a majority of this salary in order to make it possible for us, unless we were to massively overpay in the draft pick, like give them a first round, and then maybe like, all right, we'll eat some of the cap, and because you're giving us such a ridiculous haul in return. But I don't see the Ravens doing that, and I don't know how they could, I don't know if it's possible for them to clear that kind of cap space, even if they restructure everyone that's possible and do every cap juggling maneuver that they can think of. And then next year, much of the same story. $17 million is the projected cap space as it stands. His cap hit is $44 million. So while I would love to have him, I don't see any way they can financially make it happen, especially when this isn't even including the amount of draft picks you'd have to give up just to make this part possible.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And I agree with you. I think the gymnastics just don't add up. As much as Eric can do and has been able to do in the past, that's the tough part, right? And I said something about him before that I want to correct, not about Eric, about Davante. I agree with you. I think he would fit anywhere. Before, I kind of compared him to Rashad Bateman in that, like, I'm calling him like a traditional wide receiver. Mm-hmm. But if you really look at his career, I was thinking about this the other day, he's played a ton of time with Aaron Rodgers, where like so much of stuff Aaron Rodgers is off script. Now, he's not Lamar or even a Josh Allen, right? But so much of that stuff is off script football. And I think it's similar to, what made hopefully still makes the connection between like a Mark and a Lamar really good and otherwise. And so certainly Davante fitting into that type of situation is something he's familiar with. So I wouldn't have any concerns there. But yeah, Glenn, ultimately these numbers are just daunting.
It's just coming. And do you think he'd be happy, like in an offense where last game, Jimbo, Rashad Bateman, 1 target, uh, Zay Flowers, 2 targets, Nelson Aguilar, 3 targets. That's your grand total of 6 total targets to the wide receiver in last game, a game in which we won by 25 points against the consensus best team in the power rankings.
You know, DK is shaking his head violently. No. But I'm going to disagree with you, DK. I'm going to disagree with you. And this is why. That's why I'm going to disagree with you. I think at this stage in his career, he just wants to win. I think he just wants to freaking win and have a chance to win. And I think he would be bought in if we were winning. I think that's ultimately what it come down to. I think he's sick of playing for me. Who wouldn't be sick of playing for the Raiders, right? Like, I think they have a cool coach now, and that's cool.
Made his own bed. He took
he
that
did.
money and decided to go there. So I don't feel bad for him at all. He could have stayed.
No. I mean, you're right.
Less, you know?
Yeah, no, you're right. That's a good point. But at the same time, man, the Raiders are just. I would have never. Yeah, that's just a business partner I would not have wanted to have.
Yeah.
As much money,
definitely.
like I get it, but man.
If you don't have a quarterback and you're a receiver, why are you going somewhere as a receiver that has no hope at quarterback?
Well, he believed in Derek Carr at that time, right?
I guess that was his former
college. Shout out Coach Evans over at Sip to Tally. Appreciate you being in the chat, my man.
Yes,
hoping to have you on soon again. But yeah, I just don't know how we make the numbers work, right?
Yeah, but I will say this kind of leads us to my next question that I don't think we've answered yet, and it Davante might factor into this. As of right now, I think everybody's pretty excited. Everything's going well. The run game being the focal point of our offense looks like it's kind of fixed it for now, and that we're able to move the ball, we're able to put points on the board, and we're beating some pretty good teams. But what happens if that doesn't work? Like, do you feel when you look at this offense that if they're forced into a negative game script, if they're forced, let's say a team says, you know what, we're going to put everyone in the box. We're going to make you throw the ball. We're going to have 0 coverage across. We're going to have no help for any outside corners. And we are going to load the box and say, you are not running the ball against us. You have to throw it to win this game. Do you have confidence right now, Jimbo, that we could win a game where we're throwing the ball primarily to move the ball?
Yeah, this is where I'm at, Glenn. I think that Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have turned a page. I am not crazy confident in my answer, but I am confident, more confident than not, that in the moments where simply they overcommit to stopping the run, right? And they're bringing pressure and they're crowding the box and things like that. I think that Lamar Jackson, I mean, we know Lamar can make the throws. I think part of it in the past has been scheme. But not all of it, right? Like, it's still on the guys. But I think with a guy like Zay paired up with Monken, and the other pass catchers we have, so schematically and talent wise, I think we're in a different situation than we were even last year. Now Zay's in a second year, right? Lamar is another year into this. So I feel like we've seen, it's funny because every day the media can find less and less and less holes to poke in Lamar's game. And I think that's the last nail in the coffin. And I think we'll see that this year. I feel pretty good about that at this point. I think just saying that he's never going to be able to do that in his career and offense, never going to be, I think that doesn't cross my mind.
No, I just worry that's been what stopped us in years past, is that they took away the run and we couldn't come from behind and we couldn't really counter vertically. And that's kind of how it looked a little bit in the initial part. Like, man, we better get back to running the ball because we're trying to throw it around and this offensive line isn't able to keep Lamar upright. The outside receivers aren't doing a ton to win their one-on-one matchups and catch the ball. So, man, I just don't know if I have that answer just yet and can be certain.
So let me at least tell me if you agree with me on these 3 points. I think the issues are like 3-pronged, right? You have the scheme, you have the quarterback, and you have the weapons. I guess you can add the offensive line in there as well because
big one, yeah.
Yeah, got to, right? And we'll get to the offensive line. I'm excited to have this conversation, but I do think that Monken does more to help Lamar in these situations than I'm not saying he's been perfect, but than Greg Roman. So I think that that's an improvement. I think that Lamar is simply if not anything else, a more equipped mentally as a football player, as a quarterback. And I think that's a big deal for him. And then I think, once again, I mean, just like last year, I think that these are the best weapons he's ever had. You know, last year, our number one wide receiver, correctly guessed by me, was Zay Flowers, right? So, and he was a rookie, right? So now in his second year, and Rashad is healthier than he was last year. He's seemed to have some prosperity so far this year, and likely is now more a part of this offense. So there's just more issues to deal with. I don't know how straight up you can play it. Is I guess what I'm saying.
Right. And I think what gives me a little, even though we haven't seen them run or have a game where they have a pass happy offense and it leads to points and leads to a win. But I think that this gives me a little bit of reason to be encouraged, and that in the last game, and as pass blockers, every single offensive lineman,
get your boy Falele.
You know what I'm saying? Every single one of them guys graded out well when it came to pass blocking. So
isn't it crazy that he just can't touch anybody in run blocking?
It's just so weird when you're that huge.
Yeah, I just don't get it.
You think he would just lean his weight
on
just
people move forward.
Move people. Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
It really is. Yeah. But I think this is kind of going to what we said before the season, that we're going to see improvement, even if it's incremental, all the way through the season. And if they stay healthy, they should be playing their best when it matters most. But does a Davante Adams trade, would that make you feel a whole lot better about this scenario I'm talking about if they take the run away?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, right? Because at some point you just say, F it, I'm throwing it to Davante. I'm throwing it to 17. Like, I don't even care what the scenario is, right? Just throw it in his general vicinity. So, yeah. And, dude, the way he can get off and beat guys off the line. So, I mean, he's, like you said, he's probably the most well-respected receiver in the league at this point. That's for a reason. As DK exposes my my green screen there.
I think that was me.
Actually. Oh, was it?
I just hit stop share. I hit stop share.
That's no, it's okay. It happens every time. Gotcha. But yeah, so no, I think I would absolutely feel better about Davante Adams, but I will also say that I don't think it's necessary.
Okay. All right. I need to see it, Jimbo. I need to see us win a game where a good run defense sells out, just says Derrick Henry ain't doing it. And I need to see us beat them through I need to see some balls going over the DB's head, landing in the waiting arms of our receivers. It would make me feel a lot better. And I hope we see it before we're faced it in the playoffs. That's what I want to see, a test before the season's over.
I agree with you. And this is the other thing too. I've made this comparison before. And what the point I'm trying to make is that it doesn't need to be perfect, right? It just needs to be enough to get him out of that formation defensively. Right. So, like, if you think about the progression of what Giannis was and what Giannis is, he's not a 3-point shooter. Like, he's still not. Everyone knows what he wants to do, and that's okay. He's just good enough to keep the defense relatively honest, to make sure the most valuable part of his game is still available to them. And so what I'm saying is that the Ravens don't need to be perfect at what they're trying to do. They just need to do enough to back them off.
That's it.
You know, so I think they can get there. I think we got too many talented guys not to.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that throughout the season that we continue, because last game we saw a pretty good amount of chunk plays, even though we didn't throw it very often. And so hopefully we, develop that throughout the year. That way, when faced with that scenario, we're certainly ready for it. But also wanted to get into some exciting news for the Ravens, but it also kind of caused me to just at least think about what the repercussions could be from some of the news coming out of the castle on returning players. Two really talented players are expecting to be turning. In fact, one of them already is returning to practice, and the other, the rumors are, isn't too far behind. So here's the first one. We have Arthur Maulet back on the practice field after. Now, it doesn't mean he's playing this week. He's got a couple weeks where he can practice before being activated, but here's my question. They shut down Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills offense while it was high flying. Josh Allen was putting up crazy numbers, had no picks on the year, I don't think, with like 8 or 9 touchdowns. The guy was absolutely phenomenal. And we shut him down. We made sure. Oh man, almost hit end stream instead of stop share. Oh
Oh gosh.
Oh man, that would have been no good. But the only concern I have, Jimbo,
Guys,
is
we gotta take the mouse pad away from Glenn.
dude, I'm over here doing stuff, bro. You see me sharing screens? I'm flipping through different tabs, bro.
Dude,
Who
I'm
is
gonna
this guy?
put some duct tape that says "Do not touch" on your mouse pad, dude.
Please do. But I'm a big fan of Arthur Maulet. His physicality up against
agreed.
the line of scrimmage. He had a breakout year last year. He was phenomenal in the slot. But lately in the slot, as you can see from this graphic here, right at the bottom, Marlon Humphrey played 34 of his total 48 snaps in the slot last week and was sensational. He was hitting guys at the line of scrimmage, getting his hand on the crossing routes they were trying to run over the middle of the field. And as you can see, really, even the week before, while he did play some wide corner, that was because Wiggins was working his way back. Once Wiggins came back from the car crash, it was the Wiggins and Brandon Stevens show on the outside, and he was in the inside. So where does Maulet fit in after Marlon's move inside? He played a heck of a good game on the inside, Jimbo. So where does Maulet fit in?
Yeah, I think at this point, I would agree with you 100%. I'm not taking Marlon off the field to play Maulet. However, I think at this point, he fits in from a depth perspective, right? I think that's what it is. How many times do we have DBs out there? And, what am I trying to say? Ozzie Newsome has always said you can't have too many good defensive backs.
Mm-hmm.
And how many times are we rotating in and out? How many times have we seen our Darius Washington out there in specific roles? How many times have our safeties, rotated? Same with our corners. So to me, it's a depth thing, right? I think he still fits, and I do think it's worth a roster spot. But yeah, I don't know if I'm not taking Marlon off the field at this point. I think like we talked about in the post-game show, this is the most value we're gonna get out of Marlon Humphrey at this point.
Yeah,
and he's showing it.
Yeah. But who snaps does Maulet infringe on? Is it Ardarius?
That's what I was gonna say, but Ardarius is playing so well.
Yeah. So, but they got to find. He was fantastic for them last year. I don't want to make excuses and find reasons to not let Arthur Maulet back on the field. But man, you just don't want to mess things up when things are going well and they're starting to gel. But also, on the other side of the ball, there's rumors that Keaton Mitchell could be on his way back, at least to the practice field, and opening that window of return that I think lasts 3 or 4 weeks. And the same concerns I have on the other side, like, man, Keaton Mitchell, what a player. Spark plug. This guy was sensational. But the running back room's really found its stride. Derrick Henry, leading rusher in the league, taking on that workhorse role. And then, holy smokes, Justice Hill is about the perfect complement for what he's doing, catching the ball in the backfield, blocking his ass off, and even running when he's given the opportunity and doing that well. Where does Mitchell fit into this two-headed monster at running back right now?
Yeah, I think he'll just simply have to earn some snaps because we know what he can do from a home run potential, but yeah, do you want to take Justice off the field? I think you evaluate where Keaton's at when he comes back, and you just kind of play it from there. And if he earns the snaps, you trickle him in, right? And then you continue to find that balance. But I think he's just got to earn them in practice. He's got to take him away from Justice, which I don't think is any easy feat. John Harbaugh, if anybody listens to the press conference, absolutely loves Justice Hill. Everything about his game. It doesn't hurt that he's excellent on special teams as well, because that is near and dear to John's heart. So yeah, it's a tough situation for Keaton because you don't want to mess with the chemistry, but you also do want to get the most out of your roster. So he's got to earn the snaps. No disrespect to Keaton and what he's done, but I think it's just a momentum thing at this point.
And what do you see? Like, do you think Keaton takes some of each of their snaps? Do you think, because to me, I want to see Keaton as the kind of running back alternative to Derrick Henry. I don't know, man. It's like hard for me to take Justice Hill out of that pass catcher role because he's just been so good at it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So maybe on some, Yeah, maybe we don't see Keaton on third. Maybe we see him on a lot of seconds. A lot of second downs.
It's a first. Now we have a first down back, a second down back, and a third down back.
That's right. Yeah, Derek is first and fourth. He's the opener and the closer.
There you go.
We'll put the two little guys in at second and third. Yeah. I just don't know how else you balance it. I mean, ultimately, if he's healthy and playing well, he's going to get some snaps on first down as well to keep things mixing up. But Glenn, you talked about it before, and the Ravens obviously have an emphasis on this. Deception is what it's all about, right? So putting guys out there in various situations that look like one thing and end up being another. And Keaton just adds another wrinkle to that. So look out.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. I just hope he has the speed and explosiveness that he had before the injury. And maybe that's not fair because
I think it happens. I don't think it happens this year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think next year we see it.
Then, I mean, at that point, like, I would say, like, not that you want to, like, extend anything if he's healthy, but, man, take your time, Keaton. Like, I don't want any... Not even like not rushing. I mean, like, you think you're ready? I'll see you in 2 weeks. Like, doctors clear you. I'm gonna give you 2 more weeks. Like, I don't even, because there's no real need to rush him back out there. We're only using 2 backs as it is, and you can't really be playing much better than those 2 are playing. So let's not do anything crazy. Let's not totally take away, shake up the whole rotation here just because he's coming back. But if he's fully healthy and gets back, say, week 12, week 13, when maybe those backs are banged up, then take some of their, snaps because they might need a little bit of a break.
Yep.
I'm okay
yeah, it's a good point. Definitely don't rush it. I mean, there's no, like you said, zero need to do so, right?
Right. Absolutely. But I quickly wanted to point out, and I should have done it before I switched to the offensive side of the ball, but when I was talking about Marlon Humphrey and how well he's been playing in the slot, and the concerns about, even though Maulet played really well for us, and I certainly want the guy back, this right here is what I was talking about, because look at the separation by our 2 outside corners. Let me try and blow this up here. There we go. Look at the separation prevented. So at the bottom, you can see separation.
Can you zoom in a little bit?
Yep. So at the bottom, you'll see raw separation prevented. So obviously you want to be more towards the right on this scale.
Mm-hmm.
And then target rate against. So how often are you targeted as a corner, and how much separation are you eliminating? Look where Marlon Humphrey is.
Jeez, a whiz.
He is eliminating more separation than any cornerback in the league, and Brandon Stevens ain't too far behind him.
Yeah, you aren't kidding. Is Wiggins on here?
Dude,
I wonder if he's had enough snaps.
It's hard to sit. Yep, here he is. So right here, Nate Wiggins. Now, he's a rookie. And he's playing his first game.
Where's he at, Glenn? Sorry.
Right in the center. I'm trying to circle it here with the mouse. Right in the middle. Right next to the New York Giants logo. Right dead center. Here, let me zoom.
Oh, okay. All right. I got you.
Yeah, here's Nate Wiggins right here. So the best corner in the entire league, no matter inside, outside, what you want to say, at preventing separation from occurring is Marlon Humphrey. So for all those who said he was washed, he's trash, he's a podcaster full-time and a football player part-time, I don't hear none of it, because he's doing all this, and he's the hardest hitting corner in the league. So when you add that kind of separation prevention with the fact that he will absolutely light a guy up, including your tight end, that's doing something, man. That dude is doing something. So I just want to give him a little bit of a shout out there.
Got to, bro. Absolutely got to.
Because that's nutty. I mean, that's absolutely nutty.
Let me ask you a quick question. Is there any way the Chiefs...
DK, I did it right this time.
Is there any way the Chiefs end up with Adams?
Oh, man, please tell me no. Honestly, I wouldn't even care if the Steelers ended up with him, because that's like the big rumor right now, because I don't see Fields taking advantage. I mean, I just think he'd be unhappy there. But, man, if he goes to the freaking Chiefs when they just lose Rashee Rice and things are looking like, even though they're undefeated, things are not looking good. If they get Davante, bro, come on, man. That'd be some bull.
I know. Like,
the Raiders can't are they really going to trade him to the Chiefs?
I guess that's true, right? Like, they wouldn't do it not only in conference, in division, right?
And they got to be just as sick, if not sicker than anyone, of watching these guys win. Like,
Yeah.
I would trade him to the whole other. I'd trade him to the NFC if I was them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with you. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
what
see
if
how.
Washington goes and gets him?
Look
Put him and
out.
Scary Terry. That's a go. Who said that? Redbeard. Shout out to Redbeard. Yeah. That would be a scare, especially because every efficient, just like that chart, there's a ton of them for quarterbacks. Dude, Jaden Daniels is way up at the front of all those things, no matter clean pocket, not clean pocket, separation, no set. He's at the top, bro. Jaden Daniels is something else right now.
Yeah. No, I agree. That kid is just lightning. That game, you said it, I think 2 weeks ago. That's going to be a fun game.
Yeah.
And we didn't think it was going to be,
Right. Yeah.
But I want to talk about the offensive line, Glenn. You brought up a good point before, and I think this will be a fun topic of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
What are your 3 favorite combinations of the offensive line, right? Because everyone's talking now with McCary having played well at left guard. Just like you said, though, at least in the passing game, Falele graded out. Voorhees is going through the ankle. We don't know the status right now and what that will look like. We do know, though, unfortunately, obviously the reason why Voorhees went in 7th round was his immediate injury, but he does have an injury history. So that is one of the downsides to his game. However, I'm interested to know what your favorite combos of this unit are, right? And are you including in a potential combo Ben Cleveland? John did talk about him in a nice way in his presser yesterday. So, I don't know if that's worth anything, but he did speak nicely and said he's practicing well and will play well when he gets a shot.
Mm-hmm.
But where are you at with the offensive line and your combos, right? Like, what's your preference and things like that? I'd be interested to see if it's the same as mine.
Yeah, well, I can tell you one thing. The line that started the season isn't making my top 3.
Oh, okay.
That combination, that ain't cutting it for my top 3. I gotta
ain't pulling the truck up the hill, huh?
Nope, not doing it. And I can guarantee you this, no matter, all 3 of my combinations are going to have these 3 things. They're going to have Ronnie Stanley at left tackle, all 3 of them. They're going to have Linderbaum at center, and all 3 are going to have Roger Rosengarten at right tackle, all 3 of them. And then as far as the others here, I'm going to put the lineup that we saw last week, and yeah, it could be some recency bias. That's the lineup I want to see first and foremost. I want to see McCary at left guard and everything else. And Falele, look, you can stay at right guard as of now because of what you did, because you have an 85 pass blocking grade, and your run block was good enough to power 250 yards of running game, and so I'm okay with it. That's my number 1. My number 2 is going to be Ronnie Stanley. It's going to be Voorhees at left guard. It's going to be Linderbaum at center. It's going to be McCary at right guard, and then Rosengarten at right tackle. That's my number 2.
Okay.
And my number 3 offensive line is going to be Stanley, Voorhees, Linderbaum, McCary at right guard. Right guard, and Rosengarten at right tackle. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I hope I...
Wait. Sorry. Who was your left and right guard in the
final one?
The second one.
The second one was Voorhees and Fahalele, right?
And where was McCary?
Oh, I'm sorry. I got to write this stuff down. Okay. This is not what it's going to be. You know what I wrote down? Where it started this year. All right. So my first one is Stanley.
Yep.
McCary, Linderbaum, Falele, Rosengarten.
And that's your preference.
That's my ideal. That's what I want to see next week until things change.
Okay.
The next one is going to be Stanley. It's going to be, God dang it. What did I just... Oh, yeah, Voorhees. I'm sorry. Yeah, Voorhees, Linderbaum, McCary at right guard, and Rosengarten at right tackle. Okay, so the first one, McCary's at left guard. The next one, McCary's at right guard. Falele, you're out of there. I hate to do it to you, but you are out of there. And then the last one is going to be... let's see. Was that my last? God, Jimmy, give me yours.
No.
Write things down. I'm trying not to write it down because I'm being lazy. I need to just write things down.
Look, got to show your work, Glenn.
Yeah, I got to.
Got to show
Go
your
ahead.
work.
You tell me yours. And
but to your point, I think the biggest difference was obviously the swapping of McCary at the guards, and then whether or not Falele was in.
Yeah.
Right. That's the big. And then also Voorhees. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So as of today, My preference is left to right: Stanley, McCary, Linderbaum, Falele, and Rosengarten. However, I believe that the Ravens will. Actually, I was about to say I think the Ravens will put Voorhees back in at left guard, and then McCary will go back to the swing guy. I don't see that happening right now.
So McCary's in the lineup, right?
Yeah, and I don't see him taking the right guard spot either. But I think that the most likely scenario is actually the one I just mentioned, which is also my preference. However, let me ask you this. If Falele has some false starts and Voorhees is healthy, I think I know what you want. You want McCary to go to right guard and Voorhees to go to left guard. But do you think it's more likely that Cleveland will replace him before McCary goes to right guard?
If it's an in-game swap, I think it's McCary. I mean, I'm sorry, it's Cleveland. It's Cleveland, not Voorhees, because of the play experience. He's played left guard, center, right guard, and right tackle since he's been here. So
and left tackle too, hasn't he?
I don't think we saw Cleveland at left tackle.
I
don't think so. But yeah, I mean, the big thing is
Cleveland. Sorry, I thought you were talking about McCary. My bad.
Yeah. I want to see Ben Cleveland go in there. If it's an in-game change, whether it's injury or performance, I doubt it would be performance. It would have to be pretty bad if a guy's getting pulled because he's stinking up the joint.
Right.
Wow. So yeah, DK's still trying to take Ben Cleveland off the field. Okay. I've seen, you know what? I mean, Rosengarten off the field. Jesus. Falele. But here's what I've seen, DK. I've seen Falele. You got to give him credit when he's got an 85 point something run grade. He's getting better. And so if week 4 Falele has an 85 run grade, what's week 14 Falele going to look like if he gets consistent starts? I don't know, man. I think I want to see what he's got until he disappoints. If he disappoints, I'm crumbling this up, and I'm going to grab.
I think disappoint is a different. I think what you're trying to say is until he like regresses.
Right.
He's already disappointed, right? Like early on.
But he's at least going forward. He's going very slowly up.
If he starts trending poorly,
yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah, that could be a problem. So this is DK's. DK wants Cleveland out there bad. And I know a lot of people do as well. But John likes McCary. Monken must have something to say about it. I mean, not McCary, excuse me, Falele. So, look, this is the scenario that we're in. But I think that we do ride with McCary at left guard.
Yeah.
I think the reason
that he looked so good at guard.
And I think part of that is he's got good feet. He's a quick guy. He's quick. You know, he can get there on the pulls, and he can get downfield. You know, not that Voorhees can't, but I think McCary's probably a little more nimble. I mean, he's certainly a smaller guy.
Probably not as strong.
Yeah, but I think
he fights his ass off.
Yeah, and I think downfield is where I like we saw a lot from the tight ends and the wide receivers in this game down the field. And we already know that Ronnie's going to get a hat on a hat down the field. He's extremely athletic. Same thing with Rosengarten. Same thing with Linderbaum, right? But we need our guards also to be doing this. And that's where, honestly, Falele struggles. But I think McCary does this well and probably better than Voorhees. And just like you said, I mean, I think at this point in Voorhees' career, it's just the lack of experience.
Yeah.
That is a big issue, you know? And so, look, we don't have time for sit around and wait. Like, we got to go.
Yeah, this is, especially when you start off the season 0-2. You don't have a whole lot of time to just see how things are going to turn out. But you know, you talked about we talked about their pass blocking grade and how Falele seemed to have turned a corner. I'm trying to put it up here, but it's not agreeing with me. The run blocking grades. I mean, Mark Andrews 91.6 run blocking grade. Pat Ricard 84. Even the small guys, Bateman 80. Nelson Aguilar 74. Stanley 72. Rosengarten 71 and Linderbaum 71 as well. Even the run blocking now, I didn't have Falele on that list. I gotta find out where Falele graded out, but the other guys are road grading as well. So you got to give those guys some credit. But let us know what you guys think. Who's your best combination of linemen. Basically, it took to my third combination, and I just took McCary off the field. My third combination was Voorhees at left guard, Falele at right guard, and Rosengarten at right tackle. So that would get. Now, here's the thing: is Ben Cleveland turning himself into Patrick McCary? He could come in and play center. He could play left or right guard, and he can play right tackle. Is he now most valuable as a swing guy and taking over that role from McCary?
Yeah, that's a good point. I want to. I'm trying to say this in a way that doesn't sound really mean. I don't know if Ben knows what everyone is doing all the time.
Come on, man.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to be honest. And maybe I'm just completely wrong. I'm sorry, Ben. You don't deserve the slander.
Yeah, dude. Come on.
But I find that one hard to
Do you
believe.
think he gets help tying his shoes? Honestly.
See, Glenn, you across the line. Dude,
there's got to be something John can't stand about this guy.
He just rocks the Velcro, bro.
Yeah, that's it, man.
It's just the Velcro. And in the game, the trainers, look, they tie up the cleats and tape them back, but they ain't coming untied.
That's true. They better not.
Cuts them off. Cuts them free at the end of the game. That's it. On to the next pair.
That's right.
Oh, man. See, but so anyway, I think that it takes a certain type of player. You know what? He might be. I feel bad saying this, okay? We were recently watching Monsters University where Mike Wazowski was constantly berated and said he doesn't belong. But you know what? He made it work.
That's
he
right.
Figured out a way. And Ben Cleveland, while I'm ridiculing him,
yes,
I might be completely wrong. So you might be right, Glenn. I'm not going to ridicule Ben because I haven't seen otherwise. It's a good point you bring up.
It's got to, we don't know what it is, but no film expert knows what it is. No PFF grader knows what it is. So
and
it's got to be something.
Right. And no local reporter seems to be wanting to tell us if they know.
Yeah, no, they seem baffled as well.
I only have one source who told me to keep it off the record. I'm not going to keep it off the record, but I'm going to keep his name off the record, that he can't make it through practice. Now, this was in training camp.
Yeah.
And that it just didn't look good. So,
I mean,
anyway. He said same thing about Falele.
Yeah, what are we
he said both of them. He's like, dude, these guys can't make it through practice. Mental errors, and their cardio is just not there. Maybe it's that.
But I don't get it when his belt is. He doesn't look like it would be that issue. He looks ridiculously huge and fit for his size.
There's too much oxygen to the muscles, dude.
I guess so, man.
I don't know. They're just,
But it's frustrating. But either way, I mean, the Ravens got to feel good about where they're at right now. If they can bury the Kitty Cats and beat them this weekend, completely remove them from the playoff picture, I think. How
good would that feel this early in the season in October?
Be so good, dude.
Yes.
There's still these goofballs out here trying to say that. Who was it? Hushman Zada said the Ravens would trade Lamar for Burrow today. Shut your ass up, you clown.
Oh, my gosh.
That guy's a goofball.
Yeah.
Let's see. Quan says, we know when the playoffs come, they will try their hardest to stop the run. Yes, I agree, Quan. Can we lean on Bateman and Zay to take it all? Amari is only $1 million. So he's talking about Amari Cooper, who they did do a restructure and basically eliminated the majority of his salary, turned it into a bonus to where he is very, very affordable and super big trade bait right now. The question is, will the Browns trade him in the division to their most bitter rival? Like, we are the team they hate the most, since a lot of Cleveland fans says that should have been their first Super Bowl. That's the whole thing. So would they even trade him to us? But if they were, let's hypothetically assume that they're open to it. Amari Cooper, another guy, gets crazy separations. He's phenomenal. Do you see that as a possibility? Wouldn't have the cap constraints that Davante has.
No.
Is it because?
Yeah, it's the division. I mean,
well, let's say we'd be willing to. Let's say they'd be okay with
it. Yeah, I like it. He's a big guy. He's a physical guy. Like you said, Glenn, he's an excellent route runner. Now, I do also remember on this show, we've talked about how Amari Cooper has disappeared in big moments throughout the years. So that does concern me.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
if you can keep the scope of his job limited in that, like, he's not the number one and then everyone else is down here, I think that can help him take the pressure off and kind of excel within his role. So yeah, I like it.
You'd like it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the guy's an absolute freak show. He's ridiculous. The way he's playing this year has been phenomenal. That's another one. Don't mess around and trade that guy to the Chiefs, Browns. Don't do it.
Oh, seriously.
Don't. They rolled the dice riding with Rashee Rice and then a bunch of young guys. Let them lay in the bed that they made. Don't bail them out by trading on one of these studs. Drive me crazy, dude.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't agree more. Goodness gracious.
But guys, we got a big show coming up in a couple days. We're going to have a member of the Orange and Black Insiders on the show to help give a Bengals perspective on this upcoming matchup. I can't wait to hear what he's got to say because, man, I think times are – last week's win gave him a little bit of hope, but this week we could really snatch all the life right out of the Bengals, and all their fan base will just be – they'll be starting to look at the draft. How funny will it be to see all these Bengals people commenting on draft already, like talking about who we going to get next year? Oh, I hope to see it.
I know.
Can't wait. But make sure you guys are here. What is it, 8 o'clock, 8:15, something like that.
That's right. We'll be here. So be here. What's the saying, Glenn?
Be here or be square.
That's it for us tonight, folks. See you.